All right, welcome back. We are now going to move on to the reassembly of the power adjustable mirror for the 1990 Honda Prelude. This will work for the 88 through 91. This assembly procedure is similar to a lot of other Hondas, but this is specifically for the Prelude 88 through 91. Okay, so I zoomed out a little bit so you can see all the parts and pieces and all the fasteners. We are going to put this all back together now. You can see that some of the pieces that I have refinished and powder coated. That's what we are going to showcase in this video, just putting it all back together and the pieces I've repaired. As well, we have the motor assembly where we've repaired that broken off piece with some epoxy. I'm going to show you how to do that in a separate video, but in this one we are just going to put all these parts and pieces back together. And if you watch the disassembly video, this should be pretty straightforward, so we're going to try and move through this at a little quicker pace. All right, the first thing we're going to do is clear everything off to the side, and we are going to work on the glass and the motor that attaches to it. So I'll get repositioned and we'll move some things out of the way and we'll get started. All right, moving on. We are going to put the flat glass and the motor back together. Now, I figured I'd take a moment to show you this again because I'm going to do it slightly different than the way we did it with the disassembly video, just to showcase a different way of doing something. In the other video, I had shown you just to push on these rubber seals past these cups. The problem is that if you have rubber seals that are still in really good shape, they will not push past that very easily. You'll find that you're actually going to push this down inside of that assembly. So I'm going to show you a different way. But if your seals are wrecked up top here, they often just slide right past. But if they're still in good shape, if you have a pair that are in good shape, which I found from another mirror, you're going to have to do it a different way. So what we're going to do is we are going to pull them out just like that, and pull the other one out. In there you can see those screws that I was talking about, which I'm going to show you in another video, but that's what they ride on. When you turn it on, it rides those tangs up and down a screw mechanism. Okay, but that's what we're here to do. We're here to show you how to put this back together. So again, I showed you how to pull these off. Slide your needle nose underneath there, just bring it back here, pop it out, pop it out. There's a closer look of these cups. There's little tangs that ride up and down that screw assembly, and there's a little nub. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to take it, we're going to put it inside of the rubber like that, pop it out just like that. There it is. We're going to take the next one, we're going to pop it through, pop it out. Now what we're going to do here is you don't want to push this in too far, or it makes it kind of painful to put on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're just going to line it up, and we're going to put it on like 2 clicks. Once it's on 2 clicks, then we're going to take this, get a small flathead screwdriver, and just run it in to the groove. Now this sometimes is a real pain in the butt. No, it's not a pain in the butt. It just takes some time. But go slow. Just kind of keep working it around. I'm going to try and pull back here a little bit because it's easier to do up against my chest. So yeah, depending on the mirror, these may have some rips in them or not. It really isn't the end of the world if they do. This mirror is pretty enclosed that these don't really ever see a whole lot of water. Okay, so there you can see it's inside that groove and it's on right like that, and then we will push that into the mirror itself. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other one back on and we will keep going. Okay, I got the other one on there just so you didn't have to watch me doing that, taking all the time. So both of those have been put back into the groove. They are all reattached. Those are just pushed onto the screws, just a couple clicks. At this point, we are now going to attach the mirror to the motor housing. Take note of, there is also these little tangs that clip into the mirror. Sometimes these are broken, but most of the time those are in good shape. It's really just this piece that often breaks, either on this side or that side. So we're gonna pop this together. We're gonna put these in their sockets and we're gonna put a little grease on them. So first thing I figure we'll do is just get a little bit of grease. We're just gonna put a little on the head and a little on the head. And then over here, often that's where they clip on to, those two clips, and that's where the pivots go in. So we're ready to put this together. So there's the mirror, put that there, put our grease to the side, grab the motor assembly, which is all ready to go. Okay, so now when we flip this over, like I showed you, those cups have those ball bearing pivots. You got to make sure they line up with the grooves on the mirror. Do not force them, you will break them. You can just turn them around till you get them where you want. One is normally facing that way and one is facing that way. So we're just going to take them. We are going to line up that tang. The tang should go through. Take a quick look at those pivot points and then apply some pressure. It's going to go down the screw. When you get to the end of the screw, you're just going to hold the whole motor and apply pressure directly above it, and you'll feel it pop in. Again, roll it down the screw, apply pressure, you'll hear it pop in. Then you can back it off, and if it clicks like that, you've probably done it right, because that's just those tangs riding up the screw. So after that, we're going to put the retaining clip on there, on that blade. We have the washer that goes on first. Then we have the little pin. Just apply a little bit of pressure, pivot it up, grab our needle nose, just push down a little bit. You're just going to pivot it. You're going to push down and forwards. And it should just slide in, though sometimes it just wants to be annoying today. Just once, there it goes. So, okay, so you can see the pin, the washer, it's up against that stop. Just push it in, and there we go. So the motor is now attached to the mirror. We have the repair to the broken piece. We've greased those contact points inside, and now we are going to take this mirror and we are going to move on with putting it in with the rest of the assembly. So we'll put that down and we will move on to the next part. All right, before we put the pieces all in together, I figured we'll put together the assembly that makes up the portion of the folding part of the mirror, the structure, and I showed you how to take this apart. I'm going to show you how to put it together. Just thought I'd take 10 seconds to show you the one that I powder. We looked at the nasty one that was all falling apart from oxidation, all the paint was coming off. This has just been media blasted and it's been powdered in a semi-gloss black. So if you look at that, there's a marking right on there. It says 2633L for those that are interested. Other than that, there's no other markings. I normally just powder coat the whole piece and then I'll clean powder off of where I need to. So right in there, where it goes through the other portion, I just clean it out with normally a Dremel with a sanding drum or a wire wheel, and then finish it off with a little bit of sandpaper until I get the fit just right, because you want it to be a nice snug fit. And then that's where this pushes through there. And again, this has all been powdered. This also has tagging on it, and it is 2632L. And we cleaned off that part, because if you don't clean that part off, or you don't make provisions that you don't powder that piece and that piece, they won't fit together. The powder is pretty thick, so clean it off or tape it off. And then the provisions where the ball bearing swings around. So those are all the pieces. There's the spring, the cup washer we talked about, and the retaining clip. So those are the pieces we're going to take back over to the arbor press, and we are going to assemble it all together. We're going to put some grease in around here where it rotates, and around here where it pivots, and in there, so that it will function nicely when it's on the car. That is one of the other hang-ups where you might be taking this mirror apart, is you have a mirror that isn't folding very nicely or it's hanging up. So now we're going to go over to the arbor press and let's get this put together and we can carry on. Okay, so we are back over at the arbor press, and if you didn't watch the disassembly video, I would encourage you to go back and do that, as this might not have as much information as the earlier video did. So I'm going to roll the arbor up, get it ready to put this back together with our special tool that I made. First, we'll take a quick look. I have put those ball bearings in there, and I've applied some grease all around that surface. You can use just about any grease. It's just a white lithium grease. I think you can use number 2 general purpose grease. It doesn't matter. And then we have the other portion, the bottom portion of this. It's all cleaned up. It's all greased. It's all good to go. So we're just going to put that in there. Turn it around where it's supposed to go. You can feel it click into those bearings, and it's turning nicely. That's what you want. So after we have those 2 pieces together, we are going to take the spring, which I have also put just a dab of grease on there, just so when it's rotating, it doesn't make any screeching or noises. Okay, let's put this together. I'm going to take that cup washer that we talked about in the other video, put that on there, and then we are going to take this assembly, put it up on the bed of the arbor press. We have our clip ready to go. That's also been powdered. Get our special tool. And remember, we talked about those provisions that are down in there. And if you see them, a little harder to see when the thing is done in powder. It's black. We're going to line our tool. And then we are going to roll the arbor down. And then, if we've got it right, we'll apply some pressure. Find that groove. You can take your needle nose. Give it a wiggle. Pop it in. There we go. Again, be careful when you're doing this. If you're using a vise or if you're using anything to compress that spring pressure, just be careful it doesn't explode on you. Put some safety glasses on. Watch where you put your fingers. You want to keep those. Okay, now we're going to roll the pressure off. And there you have it. The retaining clip is inside those machined grooves, and it drops in to that cup washer, sits flat with it, and that's the assembly ready to go. So we're going to move back to the bench, and we're going to continue putting this together. There is the assembled portion that forms the folding portion of the mirror. All right, let's move back on to what's next. All right, we're back at the bench, and now that we have those sub-assemblies together, we are going to start putting all the mirror back together. So we're going to take the one that we just assembled, the sub-assembly over at the arbor press. We're going to grab that. We are going to grab the inner housing or casing for the mirror, and we're going to take it like this. We're going to take that metal piece in, slide it through, and then it lives right down in there like that. There are 3 of those 6 screws that are going to hold this in. So take 3 of those 6 screws. We're just going to put them in lightly to begin with. I don't even snug them. Just so that you can get them all in nicely and in aligns. You shouldn't torque on them. These will break. They are just plastic. They do not need to be torqued on. And if you break it, you got something else that you're going to have to repair with epoxy. Okay, once you have them all in, give them just a little tweak so that they're all snug. And once they are all snug, it should look like this. There you go. It's attached to that inner housing. Okay, then we can go and grab the outer casing, which you see on the outside of the car. And all you got to do is take them, pop them together. They should all go together nicely. Now, you can take those other 3 screws, the 6 in total that are the same, and these ones are going to go through the inner housing to the outer housing. They are going through plastic to plastic. So again, be very careful that you are not breaking these. I know everyone wants to torque on things, but plastic doesn't like that. So once they're in, again, check them, make sure they're snug, snug, and snug, and snug. Okay, so on the aluminum you have 1, 2, 3, and in the plastic you have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there is that assembly put together. Now, from there, we can bring the mirror into this equation. So the subassembly that's the mirror and the motor, right there, we are going to attach it. You can see, again, the tang there, and the tang there, and the screw hole there. And you have the tang that we repaired there, there, and the screw hole here. So this now, because we don't have the connector on there, and you need to leave the connector off or you'll never be able to do this. And then actually, if you look right in there, we're going to go through the center of that spring assembly, right down through that hole. Okay, so take the wires and then just kind of work them through. Once you have them pushed in, you can push the sheathing down through, and it's fighting me today, probably because I'm holding it out in front of the camera, but okay. So you can pull that sheathing through. You need to pull most of it through in order to get this mirror to go in. And then you just slide the mirror kind of like that, pull the rest of it through. Now you're going to take that mirror and you're going to line up those tangs with the two pieces that they need to slide onto. If you kind of look in behind it, you will find where they need to go, and it'll drop in. Once it's dropped in, you're going to take the mirror, hold it, flip it over, and that's where we're going to put in the screw. Now, I figured I'd mention this because this might be helpful to some people. If you have stripped this hidden screw out, which is the singular one, you can actually use one of the two that are longer that go into there and there. So, I mean, might as well just put this one in. If we pop this one in like that, this is just holding the case to the case. Again, don't tighten it too much. But you can take this one. It's slightly a bit longer, and if those threads are chewed up a little bit and not working, this one works really well, and the other one should work in the other spot too. Or you can go get some more hardware and get a longer one of these. But take it, flip the mirror up. Normally I will do that, and then I will slide that up. You can find where it goes in, and then you can suck it down. Flip the mirror over. I will normally do that, and then just tighten it, and then it should not be wiggling anymore. There we go. So the mirror's in, and it's not bouncing around. And then you can take that other one, which we're going to put this in the, it's not the correct spot, but we switched them so that the mirror has the screw that holds it better if you've stripped out the threads. Or you can just try and find another one of those screws, which if you have another mirror, which I do, you can put an additional one, and then you'd have 3 instead of 2 in 1. Okay, so there is the mirror in and supported. You're going to have a little bit of a wiggle, but it will be nothing like what it was before with that broken tab that goes on for that tang. Okay, so now we have that assembled, and now what we are going to do is we are going to put that other sub-assembly together. We're not going to put the connector on yet because we still need to get it through here. So here's another piece that I've media blasted and powdered. It looks pretty nice, and again, for anyone who cares, there's a marking on there right there, and it says LHL 2203. I guess it's only significant if you have a bunch of parts in a bin and you were curious where it went. It is for the Prelude. Okay, so there's that, the metal portion. Plastic portion, they just slide together, clip together like that. And then we are going to use these 3 small coarse screws, and they just go through that metal bracket into the plastic. And again, they're going into plastic. Nobody wants to break or strip them. The parts are getting harder and harder to come by. Because more and more of these cars have disappeared out of junkyards, and you just can't find these bits and pieces. But yeah, so just be careful. Things can be fixed, but we don't necessarily want to do that. We just want them to work. Okay, so once those are all in, I'm always a little hesitant to torque on these because I don't want to break anything. Okay, so there it is. That assembly's put together. Okay, we're now going to bring these two sub-assemblies together to make the folding mirror work. So, we're going to take our wires that do not have the connector on yet. We're going to slide them in through there. They'll come out through the back side. Just give them a good tug, pull them in until you get them onto the mirror. Then you can take the 3 remaining screws that are a fine thread, and you can put them right there. Get them started before we torque on them. Now these ones are going into metal, so they're far more forgiving than the plastic, but again, make sure you get them started and they're not cross-threaded. Once they're getting going, you can take it and you can torque it down. You can apply a fair amount of force to these. These are what it's going to pivot between those two pieces. Suck them down, suck the other one down. I'm going to go around them once more. It's all good. There we go. Okay, so there we go. We've assembled those two pieces together. Now we have that wire that comes out. It just slides into there. You can see our mark that I put on there. So we'll do that. And then I'm just going to go grab the rubber seal, the weather seal. Just again, we're going to push it through the hole, pull it down, and then you can just push it over its spots and work it into place. Once you have it all worked into place, then you can grab the foam isolator pad, slide it through. The isolator pad just goes on top of it. Again, just work it around until it's in place. There we go. So now we have the foam isolator pad and the rubber weather seal on there. So after we've done that, you can put the mirror just like that, however you want really. And we are going to do the final thing, which is put the connector back on. So if you're holding the connector like this with the release tab up top, we are going to take the blue wire, which we marked it as well. You're going to take the blue wire. You're going to take the portion that has that little groove in the bottom, and we are going to push it into the housing until it clicks. There you go. So it's blue. In the center, we have the 2 joined wires. It's brown. Push it until it clicks. Then we have the yellow wire. It goes on the right side. Push it until it clicks. And there, that connector is back together. So there is the assembly all back together. And if I take it, oh, there we go. It folds nice. It folds real nice. So now that we have it all back together, it can be put onto the car, which we will do in a separate video, which I will have the installation and removal in a separate video. So there is a 1990 SR Honda Prelude. It's the SI in the rest of the world. This will work for 88 through 91 for the Preludes, the 3rd gens, but it does have a similar way of going together as many of the other Honda and Acura mirrors. So thanks for hanging out with me. I'm hoping that you enjoyed this and that you were able to learn something, and you can put one of these back together or take it apart, whatever you need to do. Fix your broken wobbly mirror or make it rotate nicer with those little ball bearings being re-greased. So yeah, thanks a lot. All the best, and keep those classic Hondas rolling.